Hello my retro gaming friends, here we are again in another video featuring the amazing title Ogre Battle, The March of the Black Queen. There is really so much to say about this that making just one video introducing its features is not nearly enough to make this amazing title justice. So this time we are gonna talk more in depth about the differences between the three releases for this game in Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1, and Sega Saturn. So, without any more delay, let's roll the tape. Okay, first things first, we're gonna start with the release for Super Nintendo. And the reason we're gonna start with that is because of the three releases, the three versions that we have. It's probably the most known and also the most basic, and if I can say so, is the most popular of the three. So we're gonna start from the very beginning. If you guys had the chance to see my previous video talking about the main features of this game, well, then you will see that we went through the same process we are going now with the version for Sega Saturn. Well, this time we're gonna repeat the process for the Super Nintendo so you can see the differences about graphics, and this time I'm gonna give you guys a little treat. This is a little trick that this game has, and it works for all the versions. There you go, fire seal, and it's gonna allow us to start in a different stage, not from the very beginning of the game, but from a secret stage with higher level troops and higher level enemies, so you can have a better the reason I decided to do this is so you guys can see the variety on classes and troops that this game has to offer. It's actually pretty amazing. Okay, this section is a little slow, so I apologize for that. It doesn't really matter what kind of leader do I pull here, because this part of the game is just one stage and we are just gonna have a short look at it. We don't want to make this a very long video, so it won't be tedious for anybody to watch it. Okay, as king wishing to rule the world, what personality trait do you feel you most lack? Okay, there you go. As you can see, this part is a little faster, in my opinion, of the three versions, but still long and tedious, so there you go. Okay, again, remember, this questionnaire is basically to determine the kind of opinion leader that is gonna be your main character, stats, skills, and also the troops that are gonna be surrounding you. Okay, again, it doesn't matter what card do you choose at this point, it's always gonna be the same one. That's a very good card. It's a very good attack card, especially good for units that have low alignment. So before entering the stage, let's take a look at the troops that we have, and we can see also what kind of leader did I get. Oh, okay, slice. Actually, of the 4 different opinion leaders that you can get, this is probably the best one. Is the one that has the best physical attack, and also is the one that has the potential to cause the highest damage. Okay, we have muses. Okay, this is what I was talking about in the previous video, that your own troops seem like a little like pieces in a board game. That's at least the impression that it gives me. It gave me when I played this game for the first time. I found it really cool and actually endearing in a way. Okay. Do we have any items? No, we don't. Okay. So now this scene is called Dragon's Haven. Okay. If you can notice the movement here, the action is a lot faster paced, is more fluid or fluent than in the other versions. I can move a lot faster, and the graphics don't suffer too much. So we're gonna move with my opinion leader a little bit. We move this character. I'm gonna pause because I want to see if there are any. That's the units that I have deployed right now. So far, only my opinion leader has been deployed. Let me see. The keys here are different. In the three different versions, the keys are different, so seeing the options is a bit tricky. Okay. Something important and very interesting is that this game has the option of zooming in and out, so you can have an idea of how the whole stage looks like. Okay. Here's the menu. Okay, we have the menu deploy unit. We're gonna deploy one just so we can have. You wish to deploy this unit? Yep. Items, we don't have any. Edit units. Tarot cards. We have the cards that we were given at the beginning when we were doing the questionnaire. Income projection, really here it doesn't. It's gonna, in this stage in particular, it's not gonna play that big of a factor because this is a unique stage. Once you finish it, you go immediately to the end credits. Okay, we can see these are the options that the Super Nintendo version gave us. We have animation effects on and off, background music, sound effects, text speed, and gameplay speed. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna wait. Something I like about this version is that although visually it's not very attractive, it's a lot easier to tell who your troops are. Your troops are the yellow ones, and the enemy ones, as you see, are of a pretty gray color. Okay. Okay. We're gonna go into the first fight. We're gonna go through it, and then we're gonna switch to the next version. Fight it out. Okay. Let me show you how the effects of the cards look like. Something interesting is that the appearance of the enemies and the troops differs slightly from one version to another. For instance, we have the Raven Men here. They have a really dark tone in the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn versions. They have different color. We're gonna use, let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's see how the battle ends. Pay attention to that. If you look closely, you're gonna see that after every attack, the enemy unit glows in a different color. That lets you know what element was the attack that your troop used on the enemy. So one of the muses used a lightning attack, and the enemy glowed in a purple tone. That means that it was electric elemental attack. See? Okay. And we won plain and square. Okay. That was the Super Nintendo version of the game. This is how it looks like. You're gonna notice that the graphics are a bit simpler, but they are not as simple that you won't be able to enjoy the game. Actually, I've been playing this version mostly since I started, and I never had any complaint. The story is still very engaging. The gameplay is very smooth. The controls are very easy. So really, at the end of the day, the difference is mostly technical aspects like graphics or music. Okay, we're going on to the next version, so hang with me. Okay, here we have the PlayStation version. The intro's different. The presentation screen, it's also different. So it's gonna be very easy for us to pinpoint. Difference number one, we have a loading screen. Difference number two, we have a different font. And to be honest with you, I am not sure I really like this font, but you can see that they put more attention in the title screen. It's somehow prettier than the Super Nintendo version, and it can say we can see that it says limited edition, so we can tell that it's harder to find than the Super Nintendo cartridge. Okay, we're going. You can tell that there is a slight difference with the Super Nintendo menu. Okay, we're gonna play the same secret stage that we played in the first one. So we are gonna input Fire Seal. go. Million. You're gonna see the transition of the colors is different. It looks nicer. I mean, we are talking about the difference between a system, a game system that was a 16 bit against one that was 32 bit. So, of course, they have to make better use of their resources. Okay. The graphics are a lot more detailed here. My money! Okay. Military force, hell yeah. No, the reason I'm choosing these options is because I want a certain opinion leader to be the one I'm gonna be managing for interface purposes. Well, we'll see. Finally, if there is something I don't really like how long the prelude of this game is, but it's a good source of tarot cards, especially when you start this scene, because this is more complicated than the beginning of the game. Okay, let's take a look at the menu. If you notice, the font is smaller, looks nicer. The characters have a lot more detail. Oh, and the PlayStation has a very cool feature in the menu, look. You can also see the animation of your characters. When you are, like when they perform their attacks. Actually, I think it's a small feature, but nevertheless pretty cool, in my opinion. Let's see, what else? This is a pretty cool unit. But we're gonna talk in detail. I'm preparing a video explaining each and every one of the units that you're gonna be commanding in this game. I think you guys are gonna like it. Okay. See, the map seems a bit more detailed also. It's all about the graphics. This remake is all about the graphics. And they also tried to implement certain features that they left out for the Super Nintendo one, that were in the Japanese version, but they didn't trespass them to the American version. And this is a change that I'm pretty sure most of you noticed. The music, the background music. It sounds a lot nicer, a lot better. And the reason is because the music here is a completely remasterized version of what we used to see in the Super Nintendo version. So they based themselves in the previous release, but okay. The action is still pretty fluid. I don't like the font of this game. In my opinion, it looks weird and not very clear. Yeah, it's bigger, but I don't know. It's a matter of taste here. The voices were remade. We have our beautiful now loading screen. I don't like that, but that's a tradition in most PlayStation games. Okay, let me show you how the cards look like, the attack effects look like here. It's very interesting. They don't look in the PlayStation release. They don't look a lot at all as in the other versions. They are a lot more detailed. If anything, they are better animated. I want to end this fight quickly, so that looks actually rather impressive. Let's see. It's a lot more dynamic than in the other versions. Oh boy. Okay. If anything, I think that the action here is a bit slower paced compared to the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo version is all about speed. It is all about flow. And in that aspect, I think the Super Nintendo version has an advantage over the PlayStation. If you want to focus more on the graphics and the music and the sound effects, then the PlayStation version is a clear winner. Okay? Look how beautiful that background music sounds. It's very nice. Okay. Now, and to end the video, we're gonna go to the Sega Saturn version, and we're gonna talk about the features that make that version very unique. Okay? Okay. Now we are talking. This is the Sega Saturn version. You guys had the chance to see this version in the previous video that we made. And the reason why I want to talk about more this version in particular is for several reasons. First, it includes several elements that were not included in either the Sega Saturn, in the Super Nintendo version or the PlayStation one. It was released only in Japan. So there was no official release of this game anywhere outside of that country. And so what we're seeing now is the result of the work of a very dedicated team of people that translated this game. And they tried to respect the sense of the story and the names and everything, to keep it as faithful as possible to the Japanese version. And the other thing is, and something that it called powerfully my attention, is that when I found this game, I found several sites that actually have this title on sale. Well, the only answer that I had to that is that they are selling pirate copies of a job that wasn't a work that wasn't officially translated, and that shouldn't be monetized. I mean, the people who went through the job of translating this game, they took a lot of time to do it. They went very in detail to allow us, the players, to have a quality version, and they were not asking money for it. So, well, ethics doesn't apply to everybody, I imagine. Okay. If you notice, the font looks a little different. It's closer to the Super Nintendo. In fact, the graphics of this game resemble a lot more the Super Nintendo rather than the PlayStation. And the reason is because this is not a remake. It's mostly a version that took the port from the Super Nintendo, and they included elements like new stages, more characters, and more bosses. So graphically and sound-wise, this version is not really that impressive. But in my opinion, is by far the most interesting. And as you saw in my previous video, unlike the other two versions, Super Nintendo and PlayStation, this one counts with voice acting. Yeah, granted, it's only in Japanese, but it doesn't make it any less interesting. And to be honest with you, having a game dubbed in the original language is always a plus to me. So we're gonna go to, we're gonna play the same stage. We're gonna go through the first battle, just so you can notice what's different about this game and the other two versions that we just reviewed. Okay. Let's see what kind of opinion leader do we get this time. Glory. Gloria. Gloria. Okay. Okay. The options remain the same as in the other versions. We're gonna take a quick look to the characters that we had. The sprites are different. And the music resembles a lot more to the Super Nintendo version. Also, something that it has in common with the PlayStation version, though, is that every time you start a stage for the first time, it's gonna give you a little explanation of a little history about what the situation is in that map. Okay? More about that to come. Still, the music sounds a bit better than the Super Nintendo, but it doesn't have nearly the quality as the PlayStation version. Okay, we're gonna deploy a unit. Let's see which one. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, we're gonna go with this one. It's just to defend the base. We can see immediately the difference in the sprites here of that have our map. Here we have our zoom in, zoom out. Deploy units. You saw in the Super Nintendo, and actually it's the same in the PlayStation version, is that you can press a button to see the troops that you have deployed. The Sega Saturn version also includes this little map that also tells you the location of each troop. That's a very nice detail and pretty useful sometimes. Sometimes it's pretty useful. Don't worry, I'm not leaving my day job for singing. Okay. And now we are gonna let the enemies to come to us. Okay. See? We can't really tell the difference between our troops and the enemies because they have their own colors. They didn't really make a really difference. If there is a difference I could tell though, is that the enemies look darker and the color of our units look lighter. And that's something that just now realized. So I apologize for that.
Fight it out.
The quality of the voices is really good on this one. As expected on a game that has voice dubbing action. Okay. The way the attacks look are the same as they look in the Super Nintendo version. Sadly, they don't look the way they look in the PlayStation. But you have to give something to get something. Give and take, give and take. Okay. Yeah, the PlayStation version, everything looks a lot nicer. Other than that, the result is exactly the same. Okay. That's a pretty cheap attack. Okay, if you remember, I had the same opinion leader in the PlayStation version, and the attack, it performed this exactly same attack, but it looked slightly different. That attack in particular, I like better how it looks in this version. There you go. Okay. And that is essentially the differences between the three versions. Oh, something that I mentioned, but in a very shallow way, is that this version in particular, is longer than the other ones because it features more stages, although accessing those stages is a little trickier because you have to fulfill certain requirements for those stages to open. For instance, there is one when you have to recruit an X character. I won't spoil about that, in order to this stage to open. If you don't recruit that certain character, that stage will never appear. Another stage appears when you have above a certain amount of money before reaching a certain stage. We are gonna be talking about that when we do our Let's Play series. Okay? So that's what the Sega Saturn version is all about. So this, my people, is what I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope this video served to clarify any doubts about what version to play. At the end of the day, it's your decision which one to choose. All the versions are equally entertaining, and I will not tell you where or how to play, but I hope this info was useful for you nevertheless. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing so we can keep producing quality material for you. Until the next time.